The second season of Jurassic World Chaos Theory has arrived. All 10 episodes are now available to stream on Netflix, and we got the chance to speak with creator of the show, Scott Creamer, about all things Season 2. From the identity of the broker to all of the new dinosaurs featured in this season, we dive into the details with Scott and see just how they mapped out this season's ties to the live-action Jurassic World movies. Make sure that you've watched the new season before watching this interview to save yourself from any spoilers. Welcome back to Jurassic Outpost. Here is our full interview with Scott Creamer.
Who dares risk petting one of these demon dinos?
Free the
Only
dinos?
$5 extra.
Free the dinos. What was it like to reveal the identity of the broker, being Soyona Santos?
Yeah, well, my first fear was, everyone's just going to guess it, and I know plenty of people have. But early days when we were figuring out season 1, we got to see an early screening of Dominion before it was out, and our head writer Bethany Armstrong Johnson and I, it was during COVID. We're in a screening room. We all got masks. We're sitting separately, but we rushed up, and we're probably 6 feet apart. But we both said, we got to get this character into the show because just love the character, love the performance that Deachin gave. And then once we started playing with the idea of this sort of, is this what Brooklyn's going to become when she grows up? There was just a lot of excitement to really get her there.
It was so cool that she was able to come back and voice the character also. So
man, that was such, and I'm sure Colin had reached out to her, but she's so great. She's just a great actress, but also like a better person, and just could not have been more game. And getting all those dinosaur names we threw at her, and just, but literally, is just an embarrassment of riches. She's just so talented and such a nice human that it just elevates the whole thing. It just those scenes with her in Brooklyn, it's just like I don't know. I think it raised the level of the whole season, just having her performance in there.
Absolutely.
Soyona was one of the most mysterious characters in Dominion, but one that I think everybody wanted to dive further into. Were you given free reign to establish her background before we met her in Dominion? And what led to the choices that you gave?
Some of them came from her because when we started developing, we're never given complete free reign because, when Colin Trevorrow's in our writer's room when we break anything, and obviously this is a character that he wrote, but he and Deachin had come up with a backstory for the feature, which we were made privy to. So some of the things when she's talking about her family in there came from the backstory that she and Colin had come up with for Dominion. So there was definitely an open back and forth, but we had a pretty good idea. We definitely wanted to broaden the character, making her paint just different interests that she has, stationing her around the world or Dubai. And so, I don't think we ever tried anything that anyone was against, but, it was a very collaborative thing between all of us and Deachin and Colin.
That's so cool. This season takes us to an all new location outside of America. What were the choices behind that?
Yeah, well, the franchise really, there's like one shot at the end of Dominion, but the franchise has never been to Africa. And we just thought, well, we wanted to do that, and very on a TV budget, definitely hard to pull off, but so many of the franchise and everything is very much kind of seen through an American point of view. So we definitely wanted to explore other places and what it was like, what it's like elsewhere, and we like the idea of our kids coming in and thinking they knew the score and they're the dino experts, and finding out that, you know what, maybe these people don't need saving, and maybe you ought to, listen instead of talk. So it was, that was all. And also it's just such, it's a great landscape. It's very Jurassic, but it was definitely, we definitely wanted to explore what dinosaurs look like in a different culture too.
So what was the process of creating the new characters from Senegal and and tying them to the culture and language of Western Africa? We loved that Geba, for example, was named after a river in Senegal. The detail that we loved.
Yeah, we, like anything else, we had a wonderful consultant, Dr. Pierre from UCLA, who spent a lot of time in Senegal. And so, from the design of the houses to the wardrobe to how the characters spoke to one another, we definitely were listening, not talking. So we like I told you guys before, we may not get everything right, but it's not for lack of effort. So we definitely tried to do our due diligence and getting it as close as we could. And also on the other side of it, Samba Shoot, who plays Zaina's father, is of that descent, and so he also, as far as some pronunciations or just some different ideas about how to play things. So yeah, we definitely asked a lot of questions of folks who are smarter about this stuff than we are.
It felt very authentic. It really did. And as you mentioned, you gave us a brand new location, but you were still, it's a jungle. You were still able to give us where dinosaurs are supposed to be. It works perfectly on multiple levels.
Oh, I'm glad. And we also like the idea of this river journey, we take a lot of reference from other films. So this was our Apocalypse Now, stay on the boat. It was definitely, especially Eric Hawkins, our lighting and comp soup, took a lot of reference from, I think, Apocalypse Now and especially the night episodes.
I will jump ahead a sec here, Caleb. But so one of the questions we had is, for season 1, you quoted 70s crime thrillers as some of the inspiration, and you just mentioned Apocalypse Now. What would you say were some of the other inspirations for season 2?
There was a lot of, without some of the maybe the more adult themes, but definitely Killing Eve for this Soyona Brooklyn stuff. Obviously, different, but there's so much we try to do with mood and tension throughout. So definitely, Apocalypse Now is definitely up there. I'm trying to remember at the end when we get to that lab, there's, it sounds great, but like the idea of, in the design of the underground lab, we wanted to be the anti-biosyn. So it was like our, J.P. Balmet, the art director, and his team came up with this, Breaking Bad version underground, making dinosaurs illegally while no one notices. So yeah, there's you should talk to Eric Hawkins. He's got there's so many film reference in every episode. It's really astounding to watch.
Oh yeah, I thought the animation continued to be gorgeous, just like the first season. So
yeah, I'm with you. Like, again, the job Dan Gadinas and Ryan Donahue and their team, and CG, who's our animation studio in Taiwan. You get to do so much when you don't have to say anything and you can just tell what the character's thinking, and some of the animation that they've done is just mind-blowing, especially for a TV show.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of the characters, there's There's a theme this season of highlighting and overcoming disability. Brooklyn's arm, the compy that loses a limb, the baryonyx towards the end. Why was that an important aspect for you to cover in this season?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Much sort of like the Sammy Yaz story from Camp Cretaceous. It's not the story we set out to tell, but once we, you know, it all came from the character story part of it. It's like, okay, if Brooklyn survived that, we still wanted the stakes to be real and not just do the cartoony thing. It's like, well, there was a lot of blood and she's gone. And our supervising producer, Zesung King, came up with the idea, well, what if she lost her hand or a part of her arm? And on the story side, it like, okay, well, that's great. That they've never really done that in the franchise, where it's a character that you care about who's been injured by a dinosaur that much, who lived to tell the tale. And then it's like, well, this is amazing. This gives us an opportunity to give spotlight and screen time to a community that doesn't get a lot of it. You know, there's like, I think something like under 2% of main characters in kids shows had any kind of limb difference or disability. So it seemed like it worked for the story great, and then it gave us an opportunity to highlight this, you know, it's an underserved community. So then we just jumped on board, and it's like, well, how do we get it right? Mm-hmm. So consultants from this great place called Respectability, California, and we talked to, I want to say 5 or 6 consultants, all with limb differences and different stories to tell. And one of them also turned out to be an amazing writer, Peter Lee. So he actually wrote the episode that where we kind of see what Brooklyn was up to. And so just to give it that much more authenticity. Mm-hmm. And also, he just turned out to be an amazing writer. So he's also written other stuff for us, too, that didn't have anything to do with Brooklyn, really. But Peter's just an amazing writer. And then, you know, obviously, once we learned we had to recast Jenna, because I guess she's busy doing other stustuff.
Busy.
Maybe you've heard.
A little.
So then that gave us a chance to you know, we probably wouldn't have read so many actresses with limb differences, but it was, you know, we also read actresses without who were just, you know, more seasoned. Kirsten came in with not much acting experience, but you know, we just kept coming back to her and every read, and we'd bring her in and we tried this and that. And, you know, again, there's an authenticity and also just a raw emotional performance that she gives that, you know, thank goodness this opportunity allowed a great actress like Kirsten and a great writer like Peter, probably an opportunity they wouldn't have already had. And it's like, oh yeah, just like we're trying to say in the show, yes, this is a person with a limb difference. It doesn't define their life. It doesn't define their personality. It's an aspect of who they are, but it's not just who they are.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I think it's handled so effectively in the show. And I always go back to Jeff Goldblum's performance in Jurassic Park and then The Lost World. And that's like a completely different performance, but it makes sense because of everything they went through on that first island, everything he went through. He's almost a changed person. And I think the way that the Chaos Theory characters have matured and grown and changed is very, very similar. It always brings me back to The Lost World and the way that Ian Malcolm is different. So
that's cool. And also in the way, like when Darren came on as Kenji, you know, from early days with that, when you hear him, it's like, I totally buy this is older Kenji.
Yeah.
That who's been through everything that that Kenji has been through. So I'm glad you feel that way.
Where do you see the story going as we move into future seasons? What can you tease us with?
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, Brooklyn got on that plane, and that's, you know, where's that going to take them? We know now that Santos is involved with Biosyn. So we're definitely heading, you know, we're definitely following that. Brooklyn made that decision to get on that plane. And then what does this mean for our kids? You know, like her death tore them apart before. So now what's her life? And now this surprising to them decision that she's made to not stay with them, you know, like everything else, that's going to have some huge ramifications, and not everybody's going to be feeling the same way about it.
Fantastic.
Totally. Thank you,
Scott,
so much.
as always, incredible speaking with you. Thank you so much. And
Absolutely.
Seriously, congratulations on season 2. It's brilliant.
Thanks so much. Always a pleasure, you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Scott.
A huge thank you to Scott and the team at DreamWorks for speaking with us today and making this happen. What did you think of season 2? As always, leave those thoughts down below in the comments. We love to hear what you have to say, and don't miss our season 2 review and other Chaos Theory videos for more of the animated Jurassic World. Thank you for watching this video. Hit the subscribe button if you liked our interview.